Good morning, everyone. Um, Thanks for inviting me here to talk about teaching digital health innovation. Um, so I'm Indranil Bardhan with the Macomb School of Business at UT Austin. I also have a dual appointment with our medical school, the UT Health Dell Medical School. It's a relatively new medical school. As far as I know, it's the most recent medical school by a major, opened by a major public research university. They started, I think, in 2014. First entering class came in 2016, and so we've graduated our first batch of medical students in about 2020. Very, very small, the medical school program is still pretty small. We admit only about 50 to 60 students each year. So uh, what I'm going to talk about today on teaching digital health innovation, I do it at two levels. One, and both are facilitated by a joint partnership between the Macomb School of Business, which is where my primary appointment is, and the Value Institute for Health and Care, which is an institute within the medical school at UT, right? So other than me, we have a few of our other my colleagues at Macombs who also have these joint appointments with the medical school, and so this makes it easy to teach in these different programs. Excuse me, in these different programs where you need some interdisciplinary expertise. The photo of our campus there. So let me talk a little bit about the two types of programs that we offer on health innovation, and specifically what are the target audiences for each. So the first class that we offer, the first class on digital health innovation that we offer, the target audience is primarily our full-time MBA students and also third-year medical students. So as part of this partnership between the medical school and the business school, we offer students in our medical school the opportunity to actually take a year off in the third year of medical school to go and get a master's degree in a different field, in an adjacent field where they might, they want to pick up some skills that would be valuable for them later on when they start their medical practice. The MBA is obviously one of them. They also can go and get a master's in public health from our School of Public Health. Um, and I believe there might be one other master's program, and I don't remember that off the top of my head, which they can also do during this third year. So basically, in the first type of course, we have a class that consists of about roughly, between, I would say on average, the class size is about 30, which is a mix of about 15 Macombs MBA students and about 15 of these third-year medical students who come and learn about digital health innovation. They also, they take the full gamut of other MBA courses like healthcare operations and healthcare economics and so on and so forth. So these students are typically the younger students, typically have a few years of experience, maybe on average about 5 years of experience. And, med school students who are again, in their mid 20s, who wish to get some knowledge about healthcare administration, because eventually their goals in terms of career paths is to manage large practices and become perhaps in many cases leaders of health systems. Um, so these classes here, the first category of class, these are taught primarily by our Macombs faculty. And as I mentioned, the class is typically split 50-50 between our Macombs students and the Dell Medical School students. Um, The second type of program, and I'll get into this a little bit later, is a very different type of program which we um, cater primarily to mid-career professionals in healthcare. These are typically, I would say, physicians who might have anywhere from 15 to 20 years of work experience. Um, we have senior healthcare administrators from large health organizations like the United Healthcares and the Kaiser Permanentes of the world. Many of these people are, I would say, director, VP level already when they come to take our program. And the primary goal of this program is to train the leaders who are involved in healthcare transformation. That's the main goal, right? These courses are co-taught by Dell Medical School faculty and McCombs faculty. So when I teach in this program, so this is actually a summer, I teach this course in the summer, and I co-teach this with one of my colleagues, Scott Wallace, who is a medical school faculty at UT. So in terms of course content, again, given the time, yeah, Ram. Yes, it is. It is a degree program. It is a Master of Science, so it's an MS. It's an MS in Healthcare Transformation, and I believe it's 36 credit hours. So it's a one-year MS program. Yeah, but it is very different than our, let's say our MS in Business Analytics or MS in Finance. It runs on a very different rhythm because it targets a very different audience. So the course that I teach, again, the content that I teach in the two programs are somewhat similar, but also there are some places where for instance, with the working professionals, these physicians, we may not have time to get into all of the content that I typically teach in the full-time course. So I adjust it accordingly. But generally speaking, the main focus items of this particular course is to basically help students understand digital innovation in healthcare. What are some of the product and process innovations that are happening in healthcare? And this dovetails obviously with a lot of my own research in the healthcare technology space and the healthcare analytics area. We actually talk about, platforms are not only transforming other industries, but they're transforming healthcare in a big way as well. If you think about the amount of VC money that is going into healthcare in the last 3 to 4 years, a lot of it happens in digital health, and particularly in the platform area. The main, some of the objectives here are basically showing them how IT is enabling new kinds of business model innovations, understanding implications of systems interoperability. There's a huge push at the federal level to force vendors of electronic health records to make their products interoperable, for instance, and what are the business implications of that. Studying the role of AI-driven innovations in healthcare, and again, platform models as well. Now, in my full-time class, one of the unique features of the full-time class is I actually have students working on a project. It's an experiential project that they work on throughout the course of the 3 months, or 3.5 months of the semester. And I actually, through my network of contacts, I actually get about roughly 6 to 7 digital health firms in Austin, and Austin has a growing ecosystem of digital health firms these days. So it's not hard to find these firms who are actually willing to sponsor a project and actually mentor these student teams throughout the course of the semester. So for instance, in one case, we actually work with a very successful VC where students work with the lady who runs the venture capital firm in doing due diligence on new kinds of digital health innovations. So they apply not just the financial frameworks, but also appropriate technology frameworks to evaluate investments for her firm. In another case, we work with a very successful AI software firm to actually create a roadmap for new types of technologies that they're planning to bring into the market space. Again, a lot of our students in this class, in the full-time MBA class, either end up going into healthcare consulting with some of the big consulting firms, or they might actually end up going to work for big pharma or some of the the payers, right, like the Optums and the United Healthcares of the world. Some of the topics. So I have 3 broad-based modules in the class. So the first module is really about population health management, where we talk about value-based care. There's a big emphasis on value-based care, given that that's the direction that we are moving towards, at least in the United States, but also actually in Europe, in many of the countries in Europe, that's been the push. Bundled payment models, how technology can actually enable these new kinds of value-based care models, including accountable care organizations, and then again, focusing on the role of systems interoperability. The second module is all about platform innovation, talking about new kinds of platform ecosystems, and the role of, if you're a technology company, how you can actually manage that ecosystem in order to drive your innovation and drive your growth. There's been a huge push on telehealth since the pandemic, as well as on remote patient monitoring and all kinds of mobile health types of platforms. And lastly, we focus on analytics-driven innovations, both at the enterprise level, as well as for precision medicine, which happens to be at the patient level, where you're providing patient-level analytics. We actually have a very interesting blockchain project where homeless people in Austin, we've actually tested a blockchain prototype for providing them with their social services as well as healthcare services through blockchain-enabled platforms. Now, this is the second course. So basically, this is the course that I think Ram had asked me about, the MS in Healthcare Transformation, where we partner with the Value Institute for Health and Care. This is actually Elizabeth Teisberg, who actually is the person who actually created this Value Institute, and she leads it. The whole goal of the MS in Healthcare Transformation program is for professionals who want to lead transformation in healthcare. So we typically get physician leaders from many academic institutions, MD Anderson Cancer Center being one of them. We get again, large hospital systems, people who are actually leading the digital transformation efforts in their institutions. Here in this particular program, I'm going to skip about this. The typical class profile of this program is about 40% clinicians, 30% healthcare administrators, 15% industry professionals, and roughly about 20% payers. That doesn't add up to 100, but I think I messed up on the numbers, but they're roughly similar. Cohort size every year, as I mentioned, it's a 1-year program. Every year we get 50 students, and these are the ratios. We do get a fair amount of international students as well from Europe, actually in recent times also from Australia and South Africa as well. Now, this is the way it's structured. So unlike the full-time program, where we meet just like any other regular full-time class, this program is organized as a hybrid of both online weeks of learning as well as residential weeks. So somewhat a little bit similar to what Paul was talking about in terms of driving engagement with mid-career professionals, right? How best you can do that is through some sort of a hybrid learning, where they actually, so these are very, very busy folks, especially physicians who can't afford to take the time off to go through a regular program. So we actually have them to come to Austin 3 times a year for 3 residential weeks. So when they start the program in August, so every cohort starts in August. So beginning of the fall semester, we have 1 residential week. So they spend Monday to Friday in Austin, where they go through a gamut of classes, and then the same thing in January, and then again in May, right? And then the rest of the time between those residential weeks, they have synchronous online classes, where once a week you actually have a synchronous session over Zoom. For instance, I'm just about going to start this next cohort in June, and every Tuesday I spend we actually, do 2 sessions, one during the day and one during the evening, just because we have, people who can't come in attend during the day. 3 hours roughly every week for about 6 weeks, right? So that's the extent of each of these, modules, so each of these courses. Um, we have collaborative action-oriented research and projects. In fact, they have a year-long experiential learning project that every student has to do as a group, and average hours per week that they spend is about 12 to 15. Now, they have 8 course modules. So the way this course is organized is that you have 8 course modules, and digital health innovation is one of them. So they do have other courses. So they start off with a course on aspiration, innovation, and inertia in healthcare, where they really talk about the concept of value-based care. By the way, I forgot to mention that this is not just taught by Macomb's faculty and Delmed faculty, but we also involve our faculty from the School of Law, from economics, from School of Social Work, and I believe there's also one faculty member from the School of Engineering who's also involved in this program. So it's really an interdisciplinary program across different colleges. So these are the different modules. Measuring outcomes. We have a healthcare finance and payment class. We have an organizational leadership course. This course, the redefining health delivery solutions. This is really a healthcare ops course that is taught by one of my ops colleagues. And then this is the systems design and digital health course that I co-teach. And then finally, we end up with the strategy for transformation class as well. So this is the cadence of the course. As I mentioned, typically you have live virtual class sessions on Tuesdays. We have one during the day, one in the evening. Again, because of many international students in places like South Africa and Australia, for them the evening time actually works much better because of the time difference. They have, typically an individual assignment every week as well as a group assignment, and this goes on for about 6 weeks. And that's that. So this is, again, we started this program in 2019, so we're just about done with 4 cohorts. So far it's been very, very successful based on the feedback that we've received. About 50% of our class comes from Texas and 50% comes from outside Texas.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
We have a few minutes for questions. Is there any question?
I have an incredibly quick question.
Yeah.
What times do you deliver the live sessions?
11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. So total of 3 hours in the week. Yeah.
That was not the answer I wanted you to give. But it was the answer I was looking for. Don't forget Eastern and different time.
Yeah, Central Time. Ram? Yeah. Of what participation of what? No, it's primarily the leadership. The Value Institute is is housed in the medical school, so they are the ones who take care of all the administrative details, and and Your first question was again, yeah, yeah, it is taught as an overload course. So McCombs has, funny policies which I won't get into, but we do, this is again, given the nature of the course, it's not a semester-long course, so they can't treat it as equivalent to a semester-long teaching, so it's all done on an overload basis.
I like the program. Quick question. One is, are the physician getting CME credit for the program?
Yes. Yeah.
The other thing I noticed is not much on marketing in the program. Why is that? Did I miss it?
You mean the marketing course concepts?
One way or another.
Yeah.
Understanding the market.
Yeah. So I think that would be part of the strategy course. Yeah. That would be part of. So they do have a strategy course, and Elizabeth Teisberg, who leads this Value Institute. She was actually Michael Porter's author on the book Redefining Healthcare. So she does a lot of the strategy, piece. Yeah.
Can you elaborate more of the experiential learning for the second program you mentioned?
Yeah.
So how exactly is that organized and how to secure and what's the overall? Because that runs through all the modules.
That runs through all the modules. So they actually go and work on, because all of them are coming from their own organizations. It could be a healthcare provider, it could be a payer. So they actually work on a real world problem that they typically get from their organization, and then apply the frameworks they've learned, together with they actually have coaches from our Value Institute working with them to help them form solutions. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.